Welcome to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. Industry has a million cool stories, and Jim talks to the movers and shakers who are making them happen. Let's dive in.
Hello again, and welcome back to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. I am Jim Vinosky, and very happy to have with me today a fellow advocate for manufacturing in general and American manufacturing in particular, Gretchen Philyaw. Welcome, Gretchen.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. I've been following your work for quite a while, and very excited about the things you highlight and the places you get to go out and see. So definitely want to dig into that. Now, Gretchen is our CEO and president of Magenta Technologies and founder of USA Loves Manufacturing. I want to dig into all that. So, I guess to lead off, just give me kind of your general background. What got you interested in manufacturing and all that whole world?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I was in the cellular industry for years, and that's kind of after I'd moved to New York City and LA for a while, came back and got into more of a business aspect. And it was when cellular was really becoming, more of a mainstream thing. And, it was still one of those, it's exciting to be the one with a really cool flip phone. So it was a long time ago, but I was in cellular forever and I loved it. It was a great industry, great people. I worked for what's now Verizon, then Nextel. And then I started working when they became Sprint as an agent. And I did that for a while. Got into a little bit of reverse logistics with cellular buyback before all the big ones decided to do that. So at some point, it kind of ran its course and I was looking for something different. And I just happened upon manufacturing. And I started working for a company that did industrial repair. And it seemed like kind of an odd thing for me to hop into, but for some reason I was just led to take this position and I did. So I started going out and seeing a lot of these manufacturing companies. And I just realized pretty quickly how much I loved it. And how it really was the beginning of everything. And I mean, this is how we build America. So I really became passionate about it. And, worked for this company for about 4 years. And it wasn't quite the culture that, I wanted. And, it was a great learning experience in that there were some challenges, but it helped me grow as a person. So when I left that company, I decided, I'm going to go back into owning my own company. And I started my own robotics and automation, as well as I do industrial repair as well. But I was like, yep, it's time for me to, put my entrepreneur hat back on.
Very
and
cool.
I did.
And that's Magenta.
Yes, right? Magenta.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
I actually started Magenta right when COVID hit. So it was kind of, it was, kind of a little bit of an unexpected change, but it was the definite right decision to do. And it's been fantastic. Even with COVID, I've really enjoyed getting back into owning a company myself. I love robotics. So it's been, the right decision. So I'm excited for the future as far as that goes too.
Yeah, now, obviously the timing has its challenges, as we all know from our own experiences, but also great timing too, wasn't it? I mean,
right.
Robotics and automation are just taking off, right?
Absolutely. And, that was the way I looked at it, that, COVID was a little bit of an interesting time, but some aspects of COVID created a silver lining and has really been, a huge thing for robotics and automation. So we're seeing the result of it now, I think, in which we'll probably talk about a little bit, but.
Yeah, definitely. Before we dig into that, so you mentioned that getting into it kind of sparked your interest and you obviously have this love for manufacturing, but talk more about, okay, how did that translate then into this other world that you reside in, which is just this amazing advocacy? I see your posts on LinkedIn all the time. You get out and you see all kinds of different manufacturers and promote their work. So how did you get into that?
Right. That, and that's what I guess most people know me for. But I had been in the industry with this other company for a couple of years, and I just kept noticing as I was going out, this is an amazing piece of America. And again, it's where everything starts. If you think about, during World War II and, after the fact, everything that we've done innovation wise, it really does start with manufacturing. And I just thought, why are we not talking more about this? Why are these people that are absolutely amazing? Why are we not celebrating it? And over a weekend, I just started thinking, what can I do? And it just became a very organic thing at first. And I just really wanted to, put out there all of the different cool things that were going on and the people that I would meet.
Yep.
I was involved in a couple of manufacturing organizations, and, I would go out to a plant tour or something of that nature. And I would just put it up on LinkedIn. I had not really ever been much into social media. I didn't do the Facebook or anything, and kind of was pushed into LinkedIn. But when I started doing that, people started noticing, and I believe it's because they believe it too. And they saw that, this is kind of cool. And it's pretty amazing that we're able to see someone at a plant tour and what they're doing and what these people are building or making. So I started getting some notice, and that's when I created it more in an organization now I have a couple of sponsors and some members. I do it as still an organic thing, but it's just grown by itself in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
you're now one of the queens of LinkedIn, I would say. Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many really cool people that are really doing a lot on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And, and I see that it's a great platform to get your message out there. So it's certainly been great for me in that aspect too.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen the same thing. Another thing that we have in common, I love that you mentioned how, you started getting out there and seeing all these cool things. Now, I've been in manufacturing my whole career, 30 plus years, and I've certainly got to see some really cool things personally in my own work. But, starting to write for Forbes a few years ago and then connecting with all these people doing all kinds of other things that I'm never going to be personally involved in, but learning their story and how they got into it and what their business is like and the challenges they have and the opportunities, just phenomenal. And it sounds like you've experienced the same thing.
Yes, and you do an amazing job. I've been following you for a long time. And it's funny how, we did start, you and I would overlap like Red 6,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, we both did that because that's an amazing story right there.
Yeah.
And, fantastic people. Dan Robinson, he's just built this, fantastic company, and the culture there is amazing. So I know you wrote about them in a much better way than I did, but it's kind of cool how we've done that with a couple of different companies. So yours is like the fantastic way of writing, and mine's more of like the lay person, but I love reading stuff.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
No, it's true though. But
thank you. Yeah.
It is
neat the way those very cool and very meaningful stories just bubble up and you see them in numerous places. And I'm seeing Dan's stuff all over the place. And for folks who aren't aware out there of what Red 6 does, they do an augmented reality training system for fighter pilots. Dan was a fighter pilot in the UK and also did quite a bit of work with the US Air Force. Now he's serving the US Air Force, putting together these amazing, AR, VR systems to train our fighter pilots to better protect us. Yeah, he's an amazing character.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And, that is the thing about technology. We're just seeing so many exciting, exponentially growing companies. And I'm amazed to be in this time in history. I think we're just really going to see so much that we've never even thought about. even in the movies.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And you know, Dan's a great example of just this super advanced technology that he's applying, you know, directly with what he's making and doing for the Air Force. But then there are other companies, legacy companies, that still make very traditional products, but are using technology to build their businesses in different ways, right?
I
I mean, that's amazing. I talked to the guys at SOG, SOG, the knife makers. You know, they've been
Mhm.
around for quite a while, and they were struggling, and now they've got this whole digital sales movement going and building the
Right.
business back. So really cool stuff. When you get out and talk to manufacturers, what are the big kinds of things that you're seeing that are, you know, the hot trends in manufacturing today?
Well, I think, like you mentioned, innovation, and I think every company out there is trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to go from where we are today to that next level or that next wave of technology? Even, you know, companies like a Stetson or
Mhm.
you know, a Danner Boots or someone of that nature, they're all bringing in technology. And of course, robotics and automation that's a big piece of it.
Right.
So, and AR or AI, you know, all of that is changing the face of manufacturing, which is super exciting. It's really bringing in so many pieces to it for, like, I think reliability is kind of like that future aspect too, because everyone's trying to think more sustainable, you know,
Right.
ways to create better production, etc. And it's not just about automation, it's about, you know, like for instance, I know there's certain companies that they use AIs and they've got sensors for maintenance or
Mhm.
things of that nature. So I think it's exciting in that a company that has been around for 80 plus years could revamp itself, like you mentioned, all because of this new technology.
Right.
And we're going to see some really exciting things. You know, I don't even know how we're going to keep up with it because you do have to
Right.
continuously grow. But we've got some amazing engineers out there, and that's again why I want to shine a spotlight on these
Mhm.
amazing people, because they are doing everything that is creating our future, and we
Right.
need to be appreciative of that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about the kinds of um, opportunities manufacturers have across the broad spectrum of technology, and then you look at, you know, your specific world with Magenta, with robotics and automation. Do you have any kind of advice to people who might be scratching their heads on, you know, what should I be thinking about?
Yeah, I think, you know, there is that piece of it that people are almost, you know, hesitant to get into automation. But there's so many applications that, you know, quick solutions, even out of the box solutions, that collaborative robots. I represent TechMen Robotics, and there are some solutions that are like your pick and place or palletizing that have such a fantastic ROI. I mean, the ROI is there within less than a year.
Mhm.
And it's a great way to get into it without having to really implement a lot of different lines. You can try it out. So even a company that is very hesitant to get an automation, maybe they're a pulp industry company or whomever,
Yep.
there's a solution that's going to help them, you know, get that production even much better than it is. And it's not a huge cost, like, oh my gosh, if I do this and it fails, you know, we've really put in a lot. You can kind of step into it a little bit more, I guess, cautiously. But if we
Mhm.
don't automate, we're just not going to be competitive in the global market, and that's
Right.
what people need to realize.
Yeah, one thing I've been touting is that really the economics of automation are kind of changing under our feet, right? It used to
Mhm.
be it was just the labor dollars you save, but now in the work environment we have today, you can literally be missing sales, not able to make your product if you're not automating and replacing the people that now you just can't get enough of.
Absolutely. I mean, that, people are very afraid of robots are going to take over or they're going to take our jobs. But the reality that, we know is we don't have enough people for the jobs.
Right.
And, a lot of the processes can be simplified that will help us be competitive in the global market, even to the
Right.
point of like design. If we
Yep.
create a design that's simple and it's better for manufacturing and assembly, that's only going to, decrease the people that we need that we don't have. And then we bring in the automation aspect of it. And so suddenly we're able to keep up with that. We need to reshore anyway. We've
Yeah.
already seen that with supply chain and everything else.
Yeah.
So, it's people are starting to realize that it's not just about, okay, what was that price to get something somewhere else in the world? You have to look at like that total cost of ownership.
Yep.
And there's way more to it. So
Yep.
when they automate, they can really see, well, wait a second, this actually is less than if we had bought it globally and we're not having to deal with supply chain or
Yep.
issues that we have.
So let's drill into that a little more. I love your segue talking about the reshoring. But there's also really a fresh groundswell of Buy American, Make American. So what are you seeing there?
Yeah, people want to believe in something again. They want to believe in the USA. And we got away from that. We've had 20 years of offshoring and, thinking it was all about price or, wages, when we really all know now that's not the case.
Yep.
And you lose something when you push it away. And
Right.
we lost so many. We not only lost the manufacturing piece of it, we lost the community. We lost that, that pride in America. And that might sound hokey to some people. I really don't care, because I believe that community and that localization, that's America. And if you don't keep that, if you don't try and bring it back, then we almost become a dystopian society. It's not, where is the pride?
Yeah.
So by bringing it back, it just creates so many positives. But one of the main ones to me is community, and we need it.
Right. I love that you said that about the pride in the community. Just recently, I've had a couple of articles on some defense contractors, one that goes back to the beginning of the 20th century. It's now called Rank America, right up the road from me in Muskegon, Michigan. And, they got really big. You mentioned World War II, and we have the very proud history of what the US delivered, to save democracy. But the manufacturing, and I wish more people would study, because what an amazing story that is, the arsenal of democracy. And, what's now Rank America was a huge part of that. They had 10,000 plus people at one time. Now they're down to, in the hundreds, but that pride is still there. They still hire a lot of veterans, and that's a big part of what they do. Similarly, I visited GM Defense, and they've only just reconstituted GM Defense. They sold it off back in the early 2000s, and now have brought it back to do some mobility applications, obviously with GM. And it's just amazing to talk to these people and see, the love of what they do and the pride for supporting our armed forces and American manufacturing. So, I feel exactly what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah. And, even companies, I can think of one that I spoke with a few months ago, Bowman Hats. And they've been making hats for over 80 years, and they're still making hats. That's a great story, actually. They're up in Pennsylvania, and the gentleman at the helm of the company is one of the most amazing people, and has created this corporate culture that, again, like you mentioned, the pride, and they love working there. They stay at the company. And then when they retire, it's almost like this meant something. This was not just a 9 to 5, And it's interesting because I think Kia did a fantastic job with a commercial a couple of years ago. I put it on my LinkedIn recently, but it was during the Super Bowl, this commercial talking about, the Kia. I can't even think of which, I'm so horrible, I can't think of the name of the model, but
Yep.
It was an amazing commercial. And it really was about the fact that, we're a small town and they said, we don't have stars on a street, etc.
Mhm.
But, we are amazing because we make something, and that, right there, that nascency of America and the fact that you are making something and you are
Right.
exceptional. That's what we need to get back. And
Yep.
I think it would change the culture of America again.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. So you and I will work together to push that direction. And you've got you've got something big coming up. So you've got a TV show coming,
Right.
Dual TV. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I had always thought about figuring out a way to do, even like an internet TV show, but I had the opportunity when they approached me back in the summer, and it came together. I'm co-executive producer of the show, and very, very excited because it is exactly what I wanted to do and what we all would like to do. And that's, again, shine the spotlight on these companies, on the people, on the culture, and, show their processes and show, yes, how it's made, but show the heart behind it.
Mhm.
And I'm very excited about it. We're going to start off here in Georgia with Stuckey's Manufacturing.
Oh,
which,
yes,
Stuckey's,
Stephanie.
she is, talk about Americana. She is revamping Stephanie Stuckey, her family legacy.
Yep.
And everybody remembers Stuckey's. I remember road trips driving and
Yep.
seeing that. And now they're doing, their candy manufacturing, the pecan log rolls, the
Mhm.
divinity. I plan to stay there at least 3 days, just,
It could be
eating all of it.
dangerous.
Yeah. So that's an exciting story. And
It
again,
is.
that's Americana.
Yep.
And we've got some really exciting other companies that we're going to be spotlighting that I think are going to be really good shows. And I just, I wanted something that was a little bit different because we don't do that. We don't have any shows, really never have. We've had a few that are maybe more about the processes.
Right. Yep.
And they're good shows, but
Yeah.
I think we want to get behind that to the heart of the story. And I'm excited about it.
That is exciting. I mean, as
Yeah.
you know, what I do at Forbes is I tell the story of the manufacturing, but I tell the story of the business and the people. And
You
that's what I
do.
love, hearing what you're doing there. Sounds like it's right up my alley on that stuff. And Stephanie, I actually reached out to her after I'd seen a few things that she had posted on LinkedIn. Another queen of LinkedIn for sure.
She's
Stephanie.
fantastic.
Oh,
She
she's
does an
amazing.
amazing job.
Yeah.
Really good.
And I'd seen her post about bringing Stuckey's back, and like you said, remember road tripping days when I was a kid. But she put it into my wheelhouse when she started the candy plant. Once I saw that,
Mhm.
like, okay, I can write about this. And
Right.
yeah, what a fantastic woman! What a fantastic story she has going there.
She really does. And, to your point, you do a fantastic job in telling those stories because, I always read any, your content, and you always have that heartstring, that piece that, yes, we do have the processes. Yes, it is something that we are making, but what's the story behind it? And there is a story. So you do a great job as far as
Oh,
that
thank you.
goes.
Well, we
But-
share that focus on the people, and that's what it's all about.
Right.
Yep.
And it is very much so.
Not that we don't need the stuff. The stuff is important.
Right.
But
We
without
definitely
the
need
people, the
stuff.
stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, but like for instance, like the clothing industry. Okay, so less than 3% of the clothing's made here in the US.
You must have been
that-
talking to Dean Wegner.
No, but I love Dean. He is awesome. But yeah, I mean, exactly. He's great that he's, doing this whole revamping of trying to do that with the clothing industry. And
Yep.
there's
I
just
just
so
had him
much of
on,
that opportunity that we need to continue to bring back.
yeah, I just had Dean on this show, and
Oh, awesome.
yeah, same
He's a
same
great
thing.
guy.
Yeah, very good guy. Um, and you mentioned clothing. I'm actually wearing a piece from one of my favorite companies, who I also had on a couple episodes ago, and that's Stormy Cromer.
Oh,
So the
okay.
folks up in my hometown of Ironwood, Michigan, who make
Awesome.
the iconic winter hat, as well as really cool stuff like this flannel. I should have also mentioned at the start, this show is airing right before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you. You're dressed
Oh,
appropriately. That's fantastic. And so am I.
exactly. And I love that that type of, is it tartan or
It's
how do you say
a
it?
plaid flannel.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
But we need more clothing made here because
Definitely.
again, we all go out to stores as much as possible lately. I know some people are more like, I don't know, mandated or whatever, but we are having such huge supply chain issues, and you'll go
Mhm.
somewhere like a Target or wherever, and the shelves are just empty.
Right.
And suddenly it's like, well, why is this happening when we could be making it here?
Right.
And if you think about how to make it, and then you look at the bigger picture of even inventory, how much money are they losing because there's no inventory?
Yeah.
And I always say on USA Loves Manufacturing, what do we spend our money on anyway?
Yeah.
Because sustainability is a big piece of it too. And people don't realize this, but clothing, all of the clothing that they think they're giving away, of course, a lot of it's used at a Goodwill, et cetera, but so much of that clothing is being shipped to other countries. And it's a big problem for them because there's no way to get rid of it.
Yep.
And people have like 20 shirts that are about the same. Well, what would happen if you had like 3 or 4 very good quality that
made right here?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it stays here.
Yep.
And it's not a sustainability problem. So there's a lot of, I think it's education. That's a lot of it too.
Definitely.
Because I just learned some of this myself. So it's really just getting the message across and letting people know.
Definitely. So is that a piece of what you're after with the show and with your continuing advocacy? Is that education?
I think so, because, again, these are things that a lot of it that I've learned. And, it's not like I came into it and, knew all of these things and wanted to preach. No, that wasn't it at all. It was more eye-opening. And it really comes back to, again, the heart of America and what are we doing here? And what can we do not only for America, because yes, of course, I want to have reshoring happen, but the reason why you want to do that is to push back out. Yeah. And we do it in a responsible way, and we can, and we do care about the rest of the world, or I do, and I'm sure so many other people. So we can help when we put on our own oxygen mask first, like, that typical statement. Yeah. And that is what I think will help the world as a whole.
Right. Yeah. We've got to rebuild our own pride and our own sense of self-worth. Right. We can do it for anyone else. Yep.
Absolutely.
Agreed. So other than TV, what else is big down the road for you?
Just, trying to put out as much as possible into the world about, manufacturing. And I am doing a book, which that's kind of almost, it's still in the process, but it's a little bit of a step of on the back burner because the show came up. But I'm doing that as a coffee table publication, and that will be coming out next year. Okay. Same idea, just to get information out there. I don't see anything like that out there that, tells the stories not only of the Ford or, a Louisville Slugger, but a company, like you mentioned, that we might not know, but they're very key to the history of America.
Yep.
The other piece is, we're trying to put together some things for our youth and, going around almost like a tour for some of the high schools, but even to the grade schools to get this information out so they know it's another opportunity, because not only manufacturing, but for trades, we need to bring all of that back.
Very good point.
Yeah, we have a huge problem with the skilled workers and machinists, as you know, and
Yep.
we've always got to have that, or otherwise we won't be able to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, it's another piece of the education, and you're absolutely right. Educating the kids is critical. Showing them there's a different path. We've been pushing college on everyone, and it's not for everyone.
No.
Showing talented youth that they could, spend a couple of years learning a trade and come out debt free and be making money.
Right.
While their friends are still in college incurring debt. Pretty attractive way to go. The other piece that I've seen is educating parents too. Isn't that a piece of it?
Right. I think that is it. It really is about the parents, because of course they're pushing their children in a certain way. And, it used to be manufacturing has had that image, which we all know there's certain images that people bring to mind, the dirty jobs, etc.
Yeah.
That is not where we are today. You can go into certain manufacturing plants. It's like a little microcosm. And, it's like, I could live here because, they've got the doctor, the dentist. I mean, they've got all kinds of things within these manufacturing, almost like little cities.
Yep.
And then the restaurants. So it's a great way of life. And it's not just about what's on the floor, the lines, but it's HR, it's marketing.
Right.
It's a lot of different jobs.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I think we really need to show that, and parents need to be on board, and kids need to see it's a very exciting way of life. And like you said, even with the trades, that's a lifetime job that you can hone your skill and you have something almost like artistry in some ways.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I think it's a great job.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything big on your mind that we haven't covered?
I don't think so. I think, if anything, the message is believe in the USA. And, we have done an amazing job throughout history, and we built something amazing, and we can again and continue. So I hope that people will, have that pride.
Yep. Well, you're out there helping them get it. So Gretchen, Philyaw, find you on LinkedIn. Where else should people go to find your stuff?
I'm on Instagram at Gretchen Philyaw, and USALovesManufacturing.com, and Fabric of America on Jewel TV.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to your book. Folks, thanks for joining us. Tune in every first and third Tuesday of the month for Manufacturing Talks. We're on YouTube. We're on all your favorite podcast outlets, and let's keep this manufacturing thing going. Gretchen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome. So long.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. Watch for new episodes dropping on the first and third Tuesdays of every month.